I want to begin our 219th rally with a thought exercise. If you were starting a community from scratch, not part of any country, not part of any other organization, what are the essential goals of the government that you would construct? I don't mean, well, we'd draft a constitution, or we'd count every vote, or we'd have an independent judiciary. I really want you to tell me, if you had to pick two principles, two founding objectives that would drive the governing or managing structure of your new society, what would you need that government to emphasize? What is necessary for a government to govern well? For example, our government needs to focus on X and Y. In one word, tell me something you think a government that you would form from scratch, what would it need to emphasize in order to govern well? Just shout out something.
Security.
Security. John says security.
Equality. Compassion.
I have compassion, equality. What else?
Food.
Food.
Okay, we're making this government, guys. First thing.
What else?
Food.
I have to use 3 words, but they're lacking.
So unity, maybe. You need unity. I know what you're saying. Okay, what else? You're starting a government from scratch. We have security, equality, compassion, food, unity. You say our government would need X in order to do well by its citizenry.
Involve citizens?
Vision. Okay. So, thank you. So while my crack staff behind me here tabulates the results of that poll, straw poll, let me tell you a quick story. On Friday, I said goodbye to Kathy in the morning because she was driving out to see her family 7 hours west of here in western New York State. It's a beautiful drive. Once you get Danbury, you put it on cruise control. You just drive like this. It's really pleasant through the mountains. She'll be listening to a book on tape, and she'll have a really great time. And 7 hours later, she gets to western New York to see the family. What did I say to her when she left on Friday morning? I said, drive safely, have a great time. Which I think is normal, right? It's like what we would tell the kids, our girls, as they were getting older and got to the point of saying, goodbye, you get to go to this person's play date on your own. You get to go to the city on your own. Off you go for a semester. Off you go for your life. What do we tell our kids when we say goodbye like that? I would always say, just make good decisions. Make good decisions. And by make good decisions is basically be smart, be safe, be happy, enjoy. So translate it as enjoy but be safe. Combine safety and happiness. Does that resonate with anybody else? So safety plus happiness equals good life. Safety without happiness is drab and confining and depressing. And because nobody would want to live safely but unhappily, anyone would challenge that kind of a life. Eventually, safety without happiness is unsafe. And happiness without safety is dangerous and unsustainable. And because nobody would want to live happily but unsafely, people would challenge that kind of a life. Eventually, happiness without safety is unhappy. So let's go back to that exercise we just did. What did you all think was essential to governing a new society? You said our government needs to focus on security. That's safety. Equality, compassion, food, unity, involved citizens. Those are all aspects of happiness. And the other vote was for a vision. And frankly, if your vision includes safety and happiness, you are envisioning the kind of society that I wished Kathy on Friday morning, and the kind of society we all would want. So much of what we talked about was about the importance of safety and happiness. So why did I ask you to participate in that exercise? Well, this summer we're evaluating and examining the founding principles of our country. What is America all about? If we are so special, what makes us special? What is true patriotism? Who are true patriots? 64 years ago, in his inaugural address, JFK inspired Americans to see the importance of civic action and public service when he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." But what can or should our country do for us? What can and should we do for our country? Are there any through lines from the founding of the United States to today that help us answer these questions? Again, back to the exercise. I thought that safety and happiness were paramount for Kathy's drive to see her family, and I thought that safety and happiness were guideposts for our daughter's exploration of life. We all kind of coalesced around safety and happiness as the foundational elements for the formation of a government that is designed to govern well. And by doing that, we are in really good company. Why do I say that? Let's go back to the Declaration of Independence that we started studying a couple of weeks ago. The colonial men of the Enlightenment, yes, the men. Janet will speak about the women at an upcoming rally. But these men had no doubt that certain rights are basic to humanity. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if all people have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, what does that mean for the government over those people? If you have the right to life and liberty, you need to be safe. If you have the right to pursue happiness, then the government needs to allow its citizens space to pursue that right. And I'm not just speculating on what I think the drafters of the Declaration of Independence thought. The document itself is actually a manifesto on how the best government must govern for the benefit of its populace. The next sentence of the Declaration proves the point. After defining those unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the Declaration continues that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, and the new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So, safety and happiness. Safety is narrowly focused. Protect the status quo. Don't let things get worse. Preserve what is good. Prevent what is bad. Happiness is more expansive. Improve the status quo. Help things get better. In this emoji age, you might say that safety is preventing a frowny face. Happiness is promoting a smiley face. If the general populace maintains equanimity at a level of 5 out of 10, then safety is making sure we don't go below 5. And happiness is striving to get us closer to 10. Safety is not less. Happiness is more. And that combination is what the government is supposed to focus on, according to the drafters of the Declaration of Independence. Why is this important to Justice Southbury? What does all of this have to do with our vision of a more fair and kind community for all? Well, it depends on your perception of happiness. Is this all about politicians making sure that I'm happy and I get mine and I do okay? Or is it that our elected leaders should focus on the general happiness and well-being of all of its citizens? It's been said that that government is best which governs least. But the founding principle of the United States of America in the Declaration of Independence is that government is best which ensures the safety and happiness of its citizens. So this nation was founded on the bedrock principle that the powers of the newly formed government must be those, quote, most likely to affect the people's safety and happiness, end quote. That was profound 248 years ago. We may have basic human rights, but they only exist if they're secured by our government. And that is still profound today. How do 2024 citizens and voters craft a government which is, quote, most likely to affect the people's safety and happiness, end quote? So we're going to spend the next few weeks developing that theme. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I wanted to spend the summer discussing a number of topics, but one of the themes that I'd like to weave throughout the summer for us is, what does a non-religious, non-partisan group of people do with an election like this, where so much is at stake? I don't ever want to stand up here and endorse a party. I don't ever want to stand up here and endorse a candidate. I want to give candidates from both parties an opportunity to speak. I want to give them all opportunities to say how they feel the concepts of social justice are relevant or irrelevant to the office they're seeking. And I want people to thoughtfully consider how these founding principles that makes America what America is, that those are discussed and considered in the concepts of today's issues in today's society. So I'll continue to work my slow way through, giving you my own perspectives on why I think you are led in certain ways as a citizen of this country with the values that we have here in Justice Southbury that start with love your neighbor. That if you start with love your neighbor and you move from there to a government founded on principles of safety and happiness, which again, we all kind of figured that's what we do in life. We need to be safe. We want to be happy. What does it mean for a government that stresses safety and happiness? And what does that mean then when you do go to vote in November? So that is our next step. And thank you for listening to that part.